Hi, I'm General Booty. I'm the quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, and you are now tuned into the greatest podcast on turf. Enjoy.
What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to this week's first episode of the greatest podcast on turf for the week. I'm Anthony.
I'm Ryan.
And as you guys can tell by the title, we are back with our 2023 fantasy football, about top 15, top 20 tight end rankings. Going to be going through 1 to 15 to 20-ish range, talk about some sleeper tight ends this year, talk about the upper echelon guys, positional advantage, all that stuff. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. According to the schedule, next week will be our fantasy football running back rankings, and the week after will be our wide receiver rankings. So please sure to subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss out on any of that. And before we get into it, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
Little Italy Pizzeria, located in Townsend, Delaware. Be sure to come in and check it out. Let them know that the greatest podcast on turf sent you. They will take care of you. Show proof that you're subscribed or that you listen to us. They will hook you up with an additional discount. Show proof that you're subscribed, and this guy might buy your meal if he's there, maybe.
Yep.
Flip a coin, maybe.
Something like that. We'll see.
Something like that.
Let's go.
It's an additional discount. Tight end 1, Travis Kelce. I don't think there's much to talk about here. Yes, he's 33. Yes, 33, 34. And the ultimate fall off is coming. However, Travis Kelce is by far the best tight end in football. And he is with the best quarterback in football. So until the wheels fall off, I'm going to believe in it. And I see no reason why Kelce isn't the tight end 1. However, the next guy could, in theory, catch him. But
yeah, I mean,
Kelce's tight end 1.
There's no talk really for Travis Kelce. You know what you're getting. He's Mahomes' favorite option. The guy produces year in and year out. Catches touchdowns, gets yards, gets the ball a lot. So, I mean, it's obvious why he's tight end 1. There's really no debate on it. Tight end 2, a guy who you and I have been very high on since entering the league. Won me a championship his rookie year, I'm pretty sure. The year he popped the fuck off, he won me a championship. And that is Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. I have him as my tight end 2.
Tight end 2.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Andrews, he had a down year last year, obviously, and it really wasn't even all that terrible. So he only had 73 catches, 850 yards, and 5 touchdowns. But to be fair, where is the games at? What did he play in last year? How many games did he play in last year? Because I know he was hurt. So, anyways, 2022.
15. He played
15 games. So he played almost all the games. But the problem was Lamar Jackson wasn't there. He had Tyler Huntley throwing him the ball. And from the Ravens football I watched, Tyler Huntley was not all that good.
Thanks.
If we're being honest. I mean, year in and year out, Mark Andrews has been consistently one of the best tight ends in football. His rookie year was slow. He only had 50 targets. But after that, guy's been on a cliff. He didn't even have his worst career year this year, and it was a down year for him. This was his second worst year ever in terms of fantasy, and it really wasn't that bad, but he's getting a healthy Lamar Jackson back. They bought in a bunch of wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, and they have J.K. Dobbins coming back. So I think that's going to open up the field for Mark Andrews a lot. Yes, you could argue there's too many mouths to feed, but Mark Andrews has been Lamar's number 1 guy forever. He's going to stick to him. We saw, not to compare, this is probably a bad comparison, but Tyreek Hill was in Kansas City, and him and Mark Andrews both ate. I mean, him and Travis Kelce both ate and got touches while they were there. So, yes, you could make the argument there is a lot of mouths to feed in Baltimore, but at the end of the day, Mark Andrews is still the Lamar's number 1 target. It just helps a lot that they now have Zay Flowers and Odell who can spread the field out, some who can take the top off the defense so the defense can't fully 100% lock in and key on Mark Andrews. So I have Mark Andrews as my tight end 2, but I can very well see him giving Kelce a run for his money this year as tight end 1.
The next guy we got, and this is a guy that we both had at 4. However, when we do the consensus, he ends up being our tight end 3, and that's Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is a guy who had an off year last season. That is an understatement. He had 356 total yards. He played 10 games. It was not very good for him at all. However, I do think he bounces back from that this season. His rookie year, he had 1,000 yards, 1 touchdown. That, in theory, should go up. This Falcons team, in theory, should be a lot better. There is a big question mark at quarterback play. However, with Drake London still emerging, Bijan Robinson coming in, Kyle Pitts still emerging, in theory, anybody competent can come into this offense with these guys and score points. I think Kyle Pitts bounces back. He is arguably the most athletic tight end in football.
Yeah.
Him and Kittle in 2 different ways. But Kyle Pitts is a guy, he's hard to draft because people have him so high, and it's hard drafting somebody that's not consistent, that, is on the Atlanta Falcons in the 4th round. It's hard to do it. I respect anybody that does, because Kyle Pitts could work out. If Kyle Pitts does work out, he could very well win you the league.
Yeah. It definitely is tough. He is coming off the injury. There is a giant question mark at quarterback. I'll agree. The 4th round, where his ADP is kind of rich for a Kyle Pitts with Desmond Ridder, quarterback, coming off the ACL injury. But it's a high risk, but also a really high reward pick. If Desmond Ridder turns out good, and Drake London and Bijan help spread this offense around, young quarterbacks tend to lean on their tight ends a lot when they're not leaning toward the running back. They love to throw to the running back and the tight end. In that case, it helps Kyle Pitts quite a bit, because he is going into his 3rd year coming off the injury, and Desmond Ridder is a young quarterback with something to prove. So they have that, and even if Ridder doesn't work out and we see a slow start to the season like we saw with Kyle Pitts last year with Mariota at quarterback, Taylor Heineke's the backup, and he showed, Logan Thomas, I feel like, had some good games back in Washington. I'm not saying it's going to be elite and they're going to be Brady and Gronk, but I'm saying, now that I think about it, the risk it's still high. It's a very, very rich draft pick in the 4th round in redraft leagues, because you got to look at the guys who you potentially are passing up on for Kyle Pitts. But I think I had him as my tight end 4, but I think that's about right for him this year. I think the Falcons and Desmond Ridder are going to work out personally. That's why I had him high. I'm surprised you had him that high, just because I know how you feel about Desmond Ridder in general and the Falcons. But I think that Kyle Pitts will be fine coming off the injury. His camp's going well. His recovery's going well. So I think tight end 3 or 4 for me is about right.
Yeah, I had him high, but it's really just because of his talent, which is what it is. I got this next guy over him, which probably a lot of people won't agree with, and that's Dallas Goedert. That's our next guy we're talking about. Anthony has him at 6. I had him at 3.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Dallas Goedert.
I don't hate it, though. I don't think it's that old. I don't think it's that far-fetched.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert's season last year is kind of underrated because of the fact that he missed those 5 games in a row. Yeah. At the start of the season, I'll go game by game. He was tight end 13, 7, 9, 11, 5, 33 against Dallas, but who does good against Dallas? 11, 1, and 12. That's, 8 very, very solid weeks on a very, very good offense. And then coming back from injury, he wasn't as good. He was 13 against Dallas, 27 and 12. Overall, he finished as the tight end 12, and he missed 5 games. Dallas Goedert, I think, is in line to eat pretty well. This is an offense that's going to score a lot of points. And when you have teams that score a lot of points, it directly translates into tight ends scoring touchdowns, which is why I'm high on Dallas Goedert in comparison to a couple of these other guys.
I'll explain to you. I love Goddard at 3, but let me explain to you why I don't have him there before we talk about it. The guy who I have at 5 has never finished below, I think, 6 before. I could be wrong, or I could be thinking of somebody else. And the guy who I have at 3 is definitely going to have a year.
George Kittle finished 19 and 20.
Okay, so I was thinking of somebody else, but
he's always been very good.
Yeah.
However, it's hard to trust.
But in terms of Dallas Goedert, I had him at 6. I think Dallas Goedert, I think he could be in for another big year, barring injury, obviously. But I look at it like this: you got Jalen Hurts, who's a top 5 quarterback in the league. You have his 2 best weapons, but they all ate last year. I feel like when Goddard was healthy and on the field, despite those few games you said, 2-3 games he had that weren't 5, that weren't that good.
Oh, 3 games that weren't that good and he missed 5.
Yeah, the 3 games that weren't that good, okay, it's fine. It's going to happen. Every tight end has their bad games. Now, Kelsey might be the outlier. Not even a tight end. Yeah, that might be the outlier just because he does everything. But any other tight end is going to have bad weeks. They're not going to finish top 3 every single week. Now, if they did, it's great. I like Goddard at 3 a lot. I had him at 6 just because I have 2 guys above him that I think will probably finish better. But I don't hate that Goddard at 6 at all.
Next up, we got Darren Waller. Anthony had him at 3. I had him at 7. The reason I'm not too high on Darren Waller is because I think his situation got worse, and I'm not sure he still has that much in the tank. The reason being his last 2 years haven't been the greatest. It's been injury problems the last 2 years. He's 31 years old. Once you get above that age, it's harder to recover from injuries. And he's going to a Giants team that is arguably worse than the Raiders team. I don't think this Giants team is going to score a lot of points. They're all hurt. Wan'Dale Robinson, Sterling Shepard. I think Saquon is going to get a lot of touches because that's in his incentives. And Darren Waller is the biggest guy on the field, so that is going to be really big for him because everybody else is like 5'11", 6 foot in the receiving core. I just think the drop-off from the Raiders to the Giants is going to be surmountable because the Raiders, their car would throw the ball downfield a good bit. I can't trust this situation, and I can't trust a player who hasn't done anything the past 2 years.
That's fair. I had Darren Waller 3.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. Yes, I understand the injury concerns are definitely a thing, and they're there, and I respect it. But I don't watch a lot of Giants football, obviously. You know that. And most people don't. Let's just face it. Most people don't like to watch a lot of Giants football. But the times, I mean, there was a few. Now, granted, it's only a few games. But there was a few games last year Daniel Bellinger popped off. He was a waiver guy a couple weeks for me. Daniel Jones was looking for a tight end last year. They didn't have one. Evan Ingram showed flashes as well when Daniel Jones was targeting him. This is the best tight end that Daniel Jones will have in his career. They have Saquon back who signed the deal. Looking good for the offense. The receiver room, I don't know, but I think that with them trading for Darren Waller, bringing him into the offense with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, who just got paid, who had a really good year, and they did address the receiver room some, I think it's going to help Darren Waller out. Like you said, he's the biggest guy on the field. Daniel Jones,
the receiver room sucks.
Can air the ball out in his shows, and it's going to definitely having Saquon back is good. I think that Saquon and Waller will help each other in a way.
They take away from each other?
I don't think so. I think that they'll help each other out. I think Darren Waller is going to eat this year. Daniel Jones looks for his tight ends. He likes to throw to a tight end when he has one. Bellinger was getting hot, and then he did something to his eye. He got poked in the eye and got fucked up for like 6 weeks or something. But I think them trading for Darren Waller definitely is like, okay, we're addressing a major hole in this offense, and it will be helped. Darren Waller, I think he still has some in the tank. He's had an up-and-down career, obviously, at the start and with the injuries the past few years. I think he'll be fine. I think it'll work out. He just needed a change of scenery.
Hopefully. Yeah, I mean, we really don't know until we see him.
That's fair. Yeah.
Next up, George.
This is all just projection. Sorry.
Yeah, Waller's one of the guys that it's hard to even come up with a projection because if he goes back to 2019 Raiders, then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
If you don't,
yeah, it's tough.
Next up, we got George Kittle. Anthony had him at 5. I had him at 6. I think. Probably should have said this earlier. I think the tier of Pitts, Goddard, Waller, Kittle, Hawkinson is all like the same tier. I think.
I'm very low on Hawkinson. In terms of, I'm not drafting him. I have him at where I have him based off of career history.
I can tell you I'm not drafting Waller or Pitts, but I just have him there because...
Good. I'll let him follow me.
Anyways, next up is Kittle. I think he's in this tier with Goddard and them. Kittle is a guy who, when he's healthy, he seems to have very, very good fantasy seasons. The times that he's played more than 10 games, 3, 4, 2, 3, and I mean a 20 his rookie year. Last season, he was good at the end of the season. I believe that's right around when Purdy came in. But, I mean, the thing with Kittle is it is feast or famine with the guy, it looks like. Because he got hurt the first 2 weeks, and then he put up 4, 3, 5. And then you're like, damn, I mean, that sucks. And then he puts up 12, 18, 11. Solid. Beautiful. And then a 2. And then a 22. And then a 4, a 3, a 4. Like, those weeks will kill you ultimately. And then at the end of the season, he ends with 220 pieces and, 2 other solid games. It's really just how Kittle is like the easiest predictable player. He's an amazing tight end with a lot of risk, with a lot of week winning upside and a lot of week downside.
Yeah.
That is what George Kittle is. He's the most outlandish tight end I think you could possibly come up with. I don't think there's a tight end that variance is more than George Kittle. If you're okay with that, rock it. If you're not, don't draft him. I don't blame you. That's just my opinion.
I mean,
It is
yeah,
what it is.
you kind of touched on it all. With Kittle, it's tough because you don't know, one, what you're getting at quarterback. Is Purdy going to...
He's cleared. He's
Is
practicing, no restrictions.
Is he going to come back and be the same Brock Purdy we saw, or is the elbow injury going to fuck him up?
That is...
Because it was a pitcher's elbow injury, and some pitchers get fucked up permanently from that. No, or was that fake news?
I don't know if it was Tommy Copper, but they usually come back stronger. It just takes a while.
Yeah.
However, Purdy's like 23.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't take...
But I mean, yeah, you pretty much touched on it all. Who do we got next? Because if it's a guy I'm thinking, I'm going to take this one from you to start.
Hawkinson.
Yep, here we go. Perfect. I have Hawkinson at tight end 7.
I think I got him at 5.
Can you pull up his... Yeah, can you pull that up for me?
Career?
Career. Okay, so yes. The past, in TJ Hawkinson's career, he finished at tight end 31.
Rookie season. Don't do it.
15 in 12 games. And last year he finished as tight end 2.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous. Because let me read you. Okay, so he was traded to the Detroit Lions. Or he was traded from the Lions to the Vikings. What was it, week 4?
Looks like 8, 9.
Week 8 or 9, okay.
In between them.
And then, so from weeks 8 and 9, let's see his fantasy football performance.
You want me to just read the numbers?
No, I got it. I'm looking for one thing I saw, but I can't find it. Okay. Fantasy points, okay. So, that's wrong. Okay, yeah. Can I see this?
This is half PPR.
Okay.
And there's the points.
Okay, so when his first week there, 11.5 points, 8, 5, 12, 5, 8, 6, 30, 9, and 2.
The 2 he played half the game.
Yes. But it's the principle.
Don't count.
This is a tight end that is being touted very highly. I've seen some people have him as high as tight end 2. Me personally, I'm not that high on him. They bought in Jordan Addison in the first round for a reason. They have Justin Jefferson, who is the best receiver in football. His target share was high toward the end of the season, week 16 and 17, but that was with KJ Osborne as the second receiver. Now they have Jordan Addison, highly touted pick, who it seems all of his off the field little stint was resolved.
He's really fast.
I don't see a lot of games where he's seeing 10, 9, 8, 16, and 12 targets. He saw 16 targets against the Giants as a season high, but it's because the Giants didn't have anybody to cover him, and that was a high-ass scoring game. I don't see it with TJ Hawkinson this year. I think it's very rich for where he's being projected, and yes, obviously the upside's there. He's in the Vikings offense. But then bringing in Jordan Addison, I don't see him having a tight end 2 year again this year. It's just not going to happen. He really only had top to bottom maybe 3 or 4 good weeks out of 17 last year, and the rest were just average, middle of the pack tight end rankings, I feel like, what I looked at. It's tough for him. I'm not on the Hawkinson train this year. I will not be drafting TJ Hawkinson in any leagues. I say stay away from him. Yes, he was tight end 2 last year. I see a lot of guys have him as tight end number 3, number 4. I'm not buying into that. I don't think that's accurate. I'm projecting him to be around the 7 to 10-ish range this year.
If I redid my list, I would have Hawkinson at 4 over Pitts. I would have switched it to. I think Hawkinson is in a position where he did pretty good for Minnesota. I know there was some weeks with 5 points. However, he saw about 6 targets every single game. That's minimum. I mean, 8. It looks like he averaged probably about 9 targets with Minnesota. I would say that's pretty good. especially if he catches, 5 of them for 60 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's not bad if he keeps that up. And I think the touchdowns are going to come. He only caught 3 from Minnesota. I think that's going to increase. A full offseason with Minnesota and Kirk Cousins should increase things. I'm not too worried about Jordan Addison because I think TJ Hawkinson needs to have a little bit more success in the red zone, and there's not really anybody else besides Justin Jefferson to do that in Minnesota. And TJ Hawkinson has shown that he can do that. I'm probably tight end 4 on him. I don't know if I'll draft him because I think he's going a little bit too early for me right now. But I'm higher on him than Anthony. He's not on my no draft list, that's for sure.
He's on my no draft list this year.
That's fair. Next up.
Yeah, I mean, his ADP is like 44.
It's 5th round. That's a little rich.
Yeah.
But if he fell to like the 6, I'd consider it.
That's fair. I respect it.
Next up, Evan Ingram. Anthony had him at 8. I had him at 9. He's a baller. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I don't think we have to talk too much about Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is an absolute baller. This Jacksonville Jaguars team is
so back.
They're going to be good. That's without a doubt. However, there's a lot of mouths to feed in Jacksonville, and Evan Ingram has had his whole entire career of not being the healthiest player. Last year he finished as tight end 6. God knows how he did that.
Because he stayed healthy and he balled.
No,
he didn't ball. He stayed healthy.
Okay, I found a tight
end.
I
looked over, saw a lot of red.
Okay, I found a tight end more streakier than George Kittle. Evan Ingram. Holy shit. He has a 26, a 14, a 34, a 50.
Is that 49?
This is tight end rankings. Tight end rankings, so he's just horrible. Then he has an 8, 29, 4, solid. 39, 28, 49, ass. 4, 1, 13, 5. 49 best tight end.
How the hell?
He was 50 this week. He's streaky. If you want streaky, he is your guy. Sometimes streaky players are just always going to be streaky. I think Evan Ingram and George Kittle are one of them because they get hurt a lot. They get tweaked up a lot. But they are freak athletes. And all it takes is one play for them to take it to the house. And you got a game-winning, league-winning week. But
yeah, I mean, like you said, it's tough. There is a lot of mouths to feed. Christian Kirk had a career year last year. They got ETN. They got Baldwin Calvin Ridley. Zay Jones ate last year. I mean, it's just Evan Ingram's success last year, you can tell by just reading the numbers, relied on who else was eating that week. Like, I'm sure the weeks, I couldn't pull it up side by side, but I'm sure the weeks he didn't eat was a Christian Kirk week or a Zay Jones week, because I know Zay Jones had some weeks last year.
Yes, he did.
And I'm saying, and you add that streakiness, you add Calvin Ridley to that streakiness, it's definitely not helping his case. I mean, even
it's
as streaky,
helping the offense, but it's not helping.
As streaky as he was, finishing as, what did you say, tight end 6?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it's good, and that's why I have him at 8, because the upside is there. But I do think that having Calvin Ridley there is definitely going to take him down a step back. I had him as high as 6 at one point.
Evan Ingram and George Kittle are one of those guys that you have to rank high because they're going to have those weeks.
Yeah.
However, you don't necessarily want them on your team.
That's why I had
it's a
TJ
Tyler
Hawkinson
Lockett effect.
Yes, exactly.
Situation.
100%.
Next up, this is a guy that I feel like you disrespect a little bit.
Which one?
Pat Freiermuth. Anthony had him at 12. I am at 8. I think Mr. Pat Freiermuth could even find his way around that Kittle-Waller range this year. I think he can take that next step up.
I feel as though I have a very reasonable explanation for this one.
Well, I'll go ahead and start.
So mine's going to be short and sweet, so I'll let you start.
Last season, Hawkinson, he was pretty damn consistent. Finished as tight end 8, 10, 21, bad, sure. 7, solid. 35, but he missed half the game.
Yeah.
And he was hurt the next game, didn't play.
That was the concussion game, I remember that.
Tight end 4, 15 and 17, not the best. 5, 20, 8, 6, 67. He missed half the game again. He was hurt. Next game, 11. Last two games, 29. That was a bad game. This wasn't a bad game. He barely played.
Yeah.
Finished as the tight end 8. I think overall he was pretty consistent, and I think that this offense could take a step forward. Pat Freiermuth was tight end 13, 2, tight end 8. If this offense takes a step forward, like I think they can, if Kenny Pickett takes somewhat of a step forward. The offensive line help that they brought in takes a step forward. George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris keep taking steps forward. I think this team could potentially score points. If they score points, this man is a red zone monster, and he will finish right around that 5 range if everything happens. If everything falls into place. If it doesn't fall into place, he finishes around 8 again, and it's not that bad.
I look at it like this. The Steelers addressed the O-line.
Yep.
They showed last year they want to be able to run the ball, and they couldn't. So they threw the ball up. They addressed the O-line. I think both running backs are going to be heavily involved in this offense, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. And I think Deontay's back this year. Deontay Johnson had a terrible year last year.
It was good. He just didn't catch touchdowns.
Didn't catch a lot of touchdowns. I think he's back this year. Where do I have Deontay Johnson right now? I have him in my receiver 23 right now, but I don't have them finalized yet. That's just kind of where I'm leaning towards.
Deontay Johnson literally did not catch a single touchdown.
I understand, but I'm saying I think that George Pickens, the running backs, and Deontay Johnson are going to be utilized a lot more in the offense this year. I think they're going to produce a lot more. It's Kenny Pickett's second year. They helped out the O-line, and it is, again, his sophomore year. I really think that the offense, in terms of everything, is going to be back next year. I think it's going to be a very productive offense. The defense, I think the Steelers are a sneaky team next year. But I think that Pat Freiermuth takes the brunt of the lack of target share in this offense due to the fact that I think that the run game is going to be utilized a lot and they're going to have more success running the ball. And I think that the receivers are going to be a lot more involved than they were last year.
Fair enough. Next up, Chig Okonkwo of the Tennessee Titans. This is a guy who I think that we can get caught up in the fact of this dude is super talented. He is super athletic. And he could, if he was on the Chiefs and Kelsey wasn't there, this dude could be an absolute monster. However, he is a Tennessee Titan. In theory, he should be getting a shit ton of catches because there's only one other guy there to catch passes, and DeAndre Hopkins. Chig is definitely a sleeper. He is a guy who could be around that 5 range if he is what we think he could be. I think Chig is more of a dynasty type of player because of how talented he is and the situation not being the best. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking Chig. I would just have a backup plan because he's probably 50-50 if he works out or not. I don't know if there's a better way to explain Chig Okonkwo.
Yeah, again, it is definitely more of a dynasty play, and this is again just based on projection. I feel like we've seen tight ends have success in Tennessee before. Ryan Tannehill got Jonnu Smith the 3rd highest tight end contract in the league a couple years ago. Chig is a lot more athletic, and he's younger. And it's simply due to the fact that even if Tannehill sucks. Okay, fine. Tannehill's still going to throw the ball to his tight ends. He always has. Even when they were bad. I don't even know who their Austin Hooper, wasn't he their starting tight end last year? I don't even know. I didn't watch any Titans football last year because they were terrible. And you got Will Levis, who will probably come in if Tannehill sucks, which he does. And again, I live and die on the hill that rookie quarterbacks will lean on their tight ends and their running backs to have success in the passing game. And Derrick Henry's not a pass-catching back. So you got Chig, second-year tight end, who's got the potential to be a stud. And if I'm Will Levis, I'm throwing in the ball. Again, this is strictly projection-based. You could call it a shitty argument, whatever you want. I don't care. I look at it like that. I think around 10 is good. He has just with the way the tight end tiers are, he's got top 5 upside. But again, this is strictly a projection. I love this play for Dynasty. This is a great Dynasty play. They do have Will Levis back there. They have Malik Willis as well, who I didn't really talk about, but just because Will Levis was a higher pick and they have more capital in him in the storyline, whatever. But I think Chig could have a good year this year. As much as I hate Ryan Tannehill and the Titans, I'll give them their flowers. I think that Chig could have a lot of success in this offense with how they utilize the run game, how they love to do the rollout play actions, hit the tight end in the flat, hit him downfield. And again, they made Jonnu Smith a top 3 highest paid tight end a few years ago. They can do the same thing with Chick.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Next up, this guy was... Okay, it's a tie between these next two guys. It is David Njoku and Greg Dulcich. I am higher on Njoku, so I will touch on him first. I had Njoku at tight end 10. Anthony had him at tight end 13. Yeah, so David Njoku, I'm not going to lie, I'm a believer in the Browns. I think that they have a pretty big bounce back year this year. David Njoku is a guy similar to Chig, similar to Dulcich, in that he is super athletic.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to get a very good fantasy week out of this guy. However, he also has those games where he's like, damn, why do I start you? Last year, tight end 43, tight end 22, ass. Then he was tight end 2, absolute stud. Tight end 16 with 7 points, ain't bad. Tight end 6, solid. 16 with 7 points again. I've had worse. Tight end 5, solid. Tight end 28, ass. 8, great. 3, great. Ass, and then another great week.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are the same. It's really just what you want to invest in.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to choose to invest in my opinion, probably the best team out of the 3, and David Njoku, who got Watson and is going to score a lot of touchdowns, I think. I hope.
It's fair. I'm on the contrary. I think that David Njoku is probably the 4th option in the passing game on this team, just based off how I think the Browns are going to go. I think Nick Chubb is going to see a lot of catches this year because they don't have Kareem Hunt there. As of right now, Kareem Hunt's not there.
David Njoku is a more priority option than Nick Chubb.
I think that Amari Cooper is going to eat again this year, and I think Elijah Moore is going to pop off this year. I do.
He not in the red zone, but yeah.
In terms of just offensive production, I think that Njoku falls down a little bit. I mean, I don't hate him. Again, like you said all the good things. I'm just saying the contrary why I had him a little lower.
Yeah, we have to look at red zone type stuff when we're looking at tight ends because that's what they are known for.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I see your vision. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Cleveland.
Yeah. But Greg Dulcich for me though, I had Greg Dulcich as my tight end 9. He's
14 for me.
He's drawn a lot of hype this year. I will start out by saying, one, he did miss 5 games last year. I understand that. He had a hamstring injury. He was extremely productive. I think he had around 400-some yards, 2 touchdowns, and 30-some catches. He got a shit ton of targets, though. He averaged 5.5 targets a game, and he had 8 or more targets in 4 of his 10 games. So he was very productive in terms of he had a very high target share for a rookie tight end who missed 5 games. And Sean Payton did say that Greg Dulcich will be playing a lot in his famously known Joker position, which similar players under Sean Payton that have played that position is Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles, and more recently Alvin Kamara.
This guy?
Have all played in the Joker position, use him in multiple different ways, out in the slot, split him out wide. Now, granted, the other guys are running backs, but
it ain't gonna work.
I think that Sean Payton will find a role for Greg Dulcich. He's extremely athletic. He is the 6th easiest schedule out of tight ends all this year. And if there's one thing Sean Payton does, it is take a player and utilize the hell out of him. And I think it's Greg Dulcich. He was a top pick. I know Sean Payton didn't draft him. But the target share that he had last year and the production alone, I think warrants him a top 10 spot.
Next up, Cole Kmet. Anthony had him at 11. I had him at 15.
He was one of my sleepers last year.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked him last year, too. I'm not loving him that much this year.
Nah, they got DJ Moore now.
I don't know if DJ
Who's
Moore's
so back, by the way.
He is. Oh, my God. Cole Kmet had a couple good weeks last year. Then he had a lot of bad weeks.
Yeah.
It's the tight end world that we live in, the young tight end world that we live in. He still finished as a tight end 7, but damn, it wouldn't have felt good to own him.
Nope, it was not.
Holy
it was
shit.
not. It wasn't.
It
His
would've
first
felt
4
good
weeks
for
were
5
terrible.
weeks.
His first 4 weeks were really bad.
His first, I'd argue 7.
I get it, but I think he had 50 yards combined the first 4 weeks.
He had 0 yards the first 2 weeks.
My point exactly. Yep. It was a rough start for Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
I have him at 11. I think that, I feel like 11's about right for him. He was a little higher last year. Tight end 8 in PPR. But, this is Justin Fields. This is what, his 3rd year? Yeah, he was 2021. Yeah, so
Trevor.
3rd year, right? Yeah, the year. Okay, yeah. This is Justin Fields' 3rd year. They bought in some offensive line help. They bought in DJ Moore to be his receiver 1. Justin Fields is always through to his tight ends. He did it in college. He looked for Cole Kmet a lot last year. Now, the production was very streaky and it was not very productive. He did lead the team in targets with 69 last year. Nice. And the Bears were so bad last year. Cole Kmet led the team in targets, catches, receiving yards, and touchdowns. And he had 540 receiving yards and led the team. But this is different now. The O-line wasn't there. They didn't have a true receiver 1. They had Mooney and Claypool there. They got DJ Moore, who's a top 20 guy for me. I thought I had him higher for some reason. I got to redo my receiver rankings. They're really bad. But I think that he's going to have production. I think Justin Fields is going to take a step up in the passing game this year. That's been his biggest criticism so far. Everyone knows he can run the ball. He can do it on his legs. Now it's just a fact of can he do it in the air. And I think that's going to be a really big point in what the Bears try and do this season. They showed that by bringing in DJ Moore, by helping out the O-line, just to give Justin Fields some time and some protection in there. So I think Cole Kmet's in for another pretty good year.
Next up, this guy I'm probably going to die on this hill and get absolutely destroyed on it. Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills.
I saw you had him on the list. I totally forgot about him, and I think where you have him ranked is about right.
Dalton Kincaid, I'm going to be drafting him in a lot of places. I am going to hype this man up probably the whole summer, and it's either going to work or absolutely not. Rookie tight ends, their rate is absolutely horrible, and all the numbers are against me. However, when you look at the situation, the Buffalo Bills traded up for this guy, and the team didn't do that good last year. They had Stephon Diggs, who's an absolute baller. However, Gabe Davis, guy sucked. Dawson Knox is only a red zone target. Dalton Kincaid can be used literally everywhere. He is similar to Greg Dulcich in his athletic, superpowers or whatever.
I totally forgot about him. But
he's not a traditional rookie because he's like 24 years old, I believe.
Yeah, he's a little bit older.
Yeah, 23.8, 24 years old. Coming out of Utah. Listen, this is a guy, if you could draft him as your tight end too, absolutely do that.
Yes.
If you end up getting, if you want to pair up Chig and Kincaid and just hope that one of them works, I think one of them will. These guys, when you attach a tight end who is really good to a quarterback who's really good to a team that's going to score a lot of points, in theory, that tight end is going to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
That's kind of, Kelsey did it. Rob Gronkowski, I know this guy named Rob Gronkowski, but you attach a good tight end to a good quarterback. You build up that relationship. They score a lot of points. Mm-hmm. Dawson Knox is not that good at football. He scored a lot of points.
Yeah.
They traded up for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
They did it for a reason. I'm going to overpay for him on my dynasty team. Hopefully this guy next to me don't draft him in front of me. But
all is fair in love and war, Ryan.
Yeah.
All is fair in love and war.
I hope I don't pick near you.
My next guy, or the next guy...
It's Tyler Higbee, so...
Oh, you take him. I didn't even have him on the list. I think the Rams are going to suck this year.
The Rams are going to suck this year. However...
No.
Yes.
No, you're not selling me on this.
I am.
All right, sell me. All Tell me why I should be looking to acquire Tyler Higbee in fantasy football this year.
Okay, let me pull the numbers first.
Who's on the worst team in football?
That's fine.
I see a lot of red.
You see a lot of green, too. It's feast or famine with this guy. And last year, the team was in shambles. However, this year, Matt Stafford has two guys that he needs to throw his ball to. Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee. If we're talking about targets, this man is going to get them. He is going to have a shit ton of targets coming to him every single week, probably at least 6 or 7, maybe even 8. I mean, the first 5 weeks, 11, 9, 4, 14, 10 targets. He was an absolute baller.
But the weeks I had him, he sucked.
Yeah, you probably had him
I had him the red
6,
weeks.
8, 9.
I had him. I really think I had him 12, 13, 4. I really do.
Listen, we're a tight end 13, 14. These guys are in the same tier. These guys are probably not going to start. They're going to be waiver wire guys, and the hit rate is very, very low.
Yeah.
Tyler Higbee is probably just going to be a consistent waiver wire guy that gets a lot of targets, that gets about 60 yards, maybe a touchdown. I just think that Matt Stafford has to throw the ball to somebody, and there's only 2 guys to throw the ball to, and it's either Higbee or Cooper Kupp. The only other receiver I know on that team is Puka Nacua or some shit.
Van Jefferson?
I'd rather have Puka.
You don't know ball.
Van Jefferson sucks.
Number 14, my tight end 14 was Juwan Johnson of the New Orleans Saints.
I didn't have him ranked, but I don't hate him or nothing.
Juwan Johnson last year had 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. Guy caught a lot of touchdowns, but he did that with Taysom Hill, Andy Dalton, and Jameis.
Jameis throws touchdowns.
He's getting Derek Carr this year, who turned Darren Waller into a Pro Bowl, All-Pro, top 5 tight end. Juwan Johnson and Darren Waller, they have similar builds, very similar play styles, and I think that Derek Carr is going to need somebody over more than just Chris Olave to throw the ball to.
Whoa.
Yes, slant boy's there, but Michael Thomas hasn't played a game of football in about 2 years, I think. Might be a little over-exaggeration. I don't know if he played at all last year, very minimally if he did. But Michael Thomas hasn't played in 2 years. We don't know how he's going to come back. Someone's got to take the targets, take the red zone, get the red zone targets, and take the targets in general. And Derek Carr loves his tight end. So I think Juwan Johnson, he's a sleeper for me this year. I like him a lot. I will be targeting him in a lot of my leagues this year as my tight end too.
Next up, Dalton Schultz. I didn't have him ranked Anthony under 15. Dalton Schultz is a guy he's on really rookie quarterback, so in theory he should do good. He has been doing good in Dallas. However, he had pass-friendly 30-point score in Dallas Cowboys, and now he is not having that luxury at all. He's got C.J. Stroud, who could be good. It's also his rookie year, so we need to lower expectations. And he could just not score any touchdowns at all, and it wouldn't surprise me. So that's where I'm at.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Where do rookie quarterbacks lean toward the most in the passing
Running backs
game?
and tight ends.
Thank you. My point proven. Dalton Schultz, another sleeper this year.
Yeah. All these guys, probably from like the 11 to even this number is just flyers and who you believe in. Me personally, I'd bet on Njoku, Kincaid, Pat Freiermuth. If we're counting him, I think he's above this tier.
That's fair.
But it would be Pat Freiermuth, Kincaid, and Njoku.
For me, it's Juwan Johnson, Dalton Schultz, and Greg Dulcich. They're my 3 sleeper tight ends this year.
You don't got to worry about me.
Kincaid's I didn't say him just because that's your boy and you just praised him for a minute, but obviously Kincaid as well.
Damn it.
But yeah, I think that's going to wrap this one up. A little bit crunch for time here. Thank you guys for watching, listening again. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our running back and wide receiver rankings. If you guys are listening to this audio version, be sure to leave a 5-star rating. Follow us on Spotify, and we'll see you guys later this week.
See ya.
Peace.